Down. Good girl. There we go. That's a good girl.
Hi, I'm Luke, bike shop manager here with Backcountry. So we've been talking to you guys about how to get your ride ready for the season as it seems to be starting to get a little warmer out. We've gone over tubeless sealant, and then we've also gone over chain replacement. Today we're going to be looking at rear derailleurs. Typically, if you put your bike away and your rear derailleur is working well, when you pull it out again, it's going to be working well. But every so often, what happens is the bike takes a tumble. Your spouse runs into it, your kids run into it, your dog runs into it, gets knocked over, or it doesn't get propped up properly and it just falls. Usually that can be adjusted. Sometimes you have to take it to a bike shop. We're going to go over when it can be adjusted, when it should be taken to a bike shop, and then also some other small symptoms that you might see with your rear derailleur. So first things first, if your bike takes a tumble and then it's not shifting properly, and you look at the rear derailleur on the back, and you notice that the cage here is not sitting parallel to the cogs, what that means is your derailleur hanger has taken a bend, and you want to take that to a local bike shop and get that fixed. You can do it yourself, but these derailleur hangers are made out of aluminum, and usually if you try to put a little bit too much muscle behind them, they tend to break. So best leave that to a trained professional. But if you take your bike out, you notice it's not shifting right, and the derailleur is straight, it's usually because of cable tension. This is a Shimano XTR 12-speed drivetrain. It is mechanically shifted, which means it's got a cable inside a piece of housing. We are also pretty familiar here with electronic drivetrains. We'll probably go over that in a later video. Today we're focusing on mechanical. You'll notice issues, and what I'm going to try to do is fake an issue on this brand new bike so we can see what we're dealing with here. If you get your bike out and you go to shift it into an easier gear and it doesn't move, that's usually an indication that you don't have enough cable tension. So what you need to do is add cable tension. Most drivetrains are going to have a barrel adjuster here at the shifter, just right on the end of the shifter where the cable housing enters into the shifter. And that is a turnable piece that allows you to adjust your cable tension. So what you're going to do in this instance is you want to add cable tension. And to do that, you're going to turn the barrel adjuster away from you to the left. And barrel adjusters have detents in them, which are individual clicks. You want to start with 2 or 3 clicks, but if nothing's happening, you can give it a couple extra clicks to see if you can get it to work. What we'll do is we'll reset that. We'll shift it again. You can see we're not quite there yet. We'll give it another couple clicks. And now it's sliding into gear. And what we'll do is we'll run through the cassette, make sure all the gears are working properly, which they seem to be. So we've solved for that instance. Let's take a look at the other instance, if you have too much cable tension. So what I'm going to do is, again, fake it, make it so there's way too much tension in the system. And the way that you'll be able to tell if this is bad is if you go to shift down into a harder gear, it makes all sorts of noise. It doesn't sound like it's settling into the gear properly. What you're going to do is relieve tension from the system. So you're going to turn the barrel adjuster to the right or towards you. And as I'm doing that, you can hear that noise goes away. So now we have a properly shifting drivetrain again. So another super common question that we get is, I bought a bike from you guys, I've ridden it for about 50 miles, and now the shifting is terrible. This is a really, really common problem. Fortunately, it's really easy to solve. Most mechanics, including all the mechanics here at Backcountry, will pre-stretch the cable and housing. Basically what that means is we apply a little bit too much tension to the cable and housing system, and what that does is it seats all the ferrules, it pulls everything taut, settles it into place where it needs to be. But even so, we don't want to put too much tension on the system that we break things, and over time what's going to happen is that housing and those ferrules are kind of further settle into place. Just, we're talking like fractions of a millimeter, but it's enough to cause tension issues with your rear derailleur. Usually what happens is the tension in your system loosens, so you get the symptom where when you shift up to an easier gear, the derailleur doesn't want to climb. So all you need to do is come to your barrel adjuster, again, right here, give it 2 or 3 turns away from you, try shifting it, and you should be good to go. The other thing I want to point out are limits, which are these 2 little screws on the end of the derailleur, right there. Before I do that, I want to point out the reason I'm behind the bike right now is because we want you guys to be able to see everything. Normally I'd be on the other side and this would be a lot easier to point out. But limit screws basically mechanically limit how far the derailleur can travel outboard and inboard. Typically, once they're set by the mechanic, they don't need to be touched again. So what a lot of people think is, oh man, like I can't get into my climbing gear, so what I'm gonna do is loosen my limit screw. That's not gonna do anything, because all you're doing is loosening your limit screw. You're not actually affecting the tension to get that derailleur to move it up there. But we don't need to go into limits too much. If you wanna see a video on how to adjust your limits and your B tension, like, subscribe, throw a comment down there, and we'll try to get to a video about that. Hopefully this helped you. If you're running into shifting issues when you're ready to start riding again, you're able to fix them on your own and get out on the trails. If you have any questions, reach out to a Gearhead today.